What's up, y'all? It's Kirsten from Path to Summit LLC, a virtual project management firm that provides project staffing, project guidance, and creates PMOs for organizations all over the globe.
I am the president of a nonprofit board called the Bountiful Green Market here in New Orleans. Today, I need to build a form so that I can send out a link to gather volunteers. In this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through in Monday.com making a board and then making a form view with logic. Let's go. First things first, on the left-hand side, I made a folder for volunteers. I did that by clicking on the blue button and then clicking on folder. I then named it volunteers. Now in the folder of volunteers, I'm going to click on the three dots and I am going to create a folder, a new board. Let's name the board volunteer management. We can always change that later. I'm going to select what I'm managing in this board, which is going to be volunteers, and then click on create board. Now that I have my board, I'm going to add different columns for the different questions that I'm going to ask. And then I will add the view for a form. You can actually add the view and then update the questions within the form itself. I've found it easier and more efficient to make the questions here on the board and then create the view. It's just my personal preference. Because I'm going to be making a form for new volunteers, the top group title I'm going to call new. The next group I'm going to call verified. The last group I'm going to name inactive. I'm going to go to the status column and I'm going to edit the labels to reflect the different groups and the process that they're going through when applying to be a volunteer for the Bountiful Green Market. When I click on the edit labels, I'm going to change the color to blue for new. I'm going to change the red to inactive. I'm going to change the green to purple, verified. And you know what? While I'm here, let's do a green and let's just do an active label. Title it active, make it green. I'm going to hit Control G to collapse all of them and move it here. While I'm thinking of our process a little bit more, I'm going to rename this group verification, and then I'm going to go to the status and actually change that to verification. Last but not least, on that status, I'm going to go into the settings right here. I'm going to customize the status column. Now, down here, choose which colors indicate that an item is completed. It's not necessarily that it's going to be completed. So I'm going to actually uncheck that purple one. None of the labels are going to indicate that an item is completed. I can also reorder these around to match the flow of the process. So we are hoping they will go from new through verification, become active, and then if they become inactive, we can still keep their information, but have it in the inactive group. Next, I'm going to add a column for their email because I will be asking for their email address. Another column I'm going to add is the phone column so that I can track their phone number. I will be asking if they're volunteering for a specific organization. So I'm going to add a column of text and I'm going to call it organization. I will be asking volunteers if they're 18 or older. So for that, I'm going to actually create another status column. I'm going to retitle the status as 18 plus, and I'm going to edit the labels for yes and no. I won't need a working on it, so I'm going to edit the labels and remove that one. If the volunteer is a minor, I'm going to ask if they are going to be accompanied by a parent. So I'm going to create another status column for yes and no, but instead of adding it with the plus sign, I'm just going to go to the three dots on the 18 plus and duplicate the column. I will retitle that logic minor. You will see why when we add the form. The next column I'm going to add is a dropdown. This dropdown is going to have all of our market dates populated so they can choose what markets they would like to attend. I will call this market dates. To create the different dates, I'm going to click in the cell value right here and start typing out all of the dates of our markets. I have the dates open in another window, so I'm going to create them right here in the dropdown by just copying and pasting them. Now that I have all of my dates loaded, I'm going to be able to ask them the question of which dates would they like to volunteer. Because I'm going to be utilizing this information to do some scheduling of volunteers, the next column I'm going to add is another drop down to see if they're interested in being at the market the full time or only a couple of hours. I'm going to add a column. I'm going to choose drop down. I'm going to rename the column timing. The options are going to be full-time from 10 to 1, so 10, 11, 12, 1, 3 hours, 4 hours for setup, I suppose, and part-time, 2 hours. Those are the columns that I can think of off the top of my head that I want to ask as questions. So now I'm going to go back through and see what do I need on here that came along with the board when I chose to start it from scratch. I'm not going to need a file column at this point, or at least I don't think so. So I'm going to delete that one. Additionally, I do not need a date column at this point, so I'll delete that as well. Under person, I'm going to change this to notify because I'm going to be creating an automation that every time a new form is submitted, it notifies me directly that there is a new form submission so that I can review it, get them verified, and start scheduling out these markets. I'm going to scroll back over to the right because there are a few columns that I just thought of that would be really helpful. So one of them is going to be a creation log. That's going to tell me when these individual forms are coming in. So once they hit submit on the form and it's plotted into this main table of the board, it's going to tell me when it was created, and that will be very helpful. I think we're ready to begin building out the form. Let's hit the plus sign and add a view. The view that we're looking for is called form. I'm going to hit the 3 dots and I'm going to rename this view volunteer form. Next, I'm going to begin editing the form by clicking, you guessed it, edit form. Right here, we can add our logo for the Bountiful Green Market. I might do that later, but for now, I'm going to skip over it. I'm going to title this Volunteer Application. This is what the individual filling it out is going to see. Here, I can add a description about the form, which I'm going to go back and do a little bit later. For name, I'm going to actually update that to say your name. Now, each box, each question has question settings. Your name, I need that to be required. I need to know what their name is. Right here, you'll also see in the box that you can add logic to this. So we'll have the opportunity to do that once we get further into the form. Right here, notify, because that's a people column. If this was being sent out to other Monday.com users, I could actually utilize this question for them to choose themselves or someone else to notify. That is not necessary. And so we're just going to keep this question as grayed out. The next question is the status that we created. We don't need the person entering the form, like filling out the form, to see this. So what we're going to do under question settings is we're going to hide that question and it won't show up when they click the link on the form. Next, we have email. I'm going to add a description with this one. What is the best email for you? And I'm going to make this required. Phone. What is the best phone number to reach you? Oopsies. I'm also going to make this required. Organization. Within organization, I'm going to add a little bit of a description. Sometimes we get volunteers that have specific hours to fill for school or other community service that they are trying to complete. And so it would be great to know ahead of time if we need to put together a letter and what organization that we want to go ahead and address that to. There is the description that I updated, just providing a little bit of guidance. Next is our 18 and up. We can actually type right over this. Are you 18 plus years of age. This is going to be a required question. Then we click on logic. This menu pops up on the right-hand side. Show this question if select question is this. Okay, so actually we're going to go down to logic minor, select question. Are you 18 plus years? Is no. I am going to change this to, will you have a guardian? So as a follow-up question to, are you 18 plus years of age? If that answer is no, what will happen is we're going to ask next, is there going to be a guardian present with you, or is a guardian going to be providing permission for you to be there to volunteer? And then they can choose yes or no. Next, we're going to our drop-down question, which was market dates. I'm going to add a description guiding them to choose any dates that they would like to volunteer for. I am also going to choose question settings and make this required because I need to know which dates individuals are looking forward to volunteering for. Next question is timing. I'm going to choose the add option right here, and I'm going to choose other. I'm also going to provide a little bit of description here, guidance for the individual filling it out. As I added an other option right here, I'm going to click on the blue plus and I'm going to create a long text. This long text, I'm going to provide an update to the title. Please provide more information on timing you would like to volunteer. I'm going to go back to logic. It's going to open that menu on the right-hand side. Show this question if timing is other. I think I left out a pretty important question. Let me know what y'all think. I should probably ask the volunteer what they're interested in doing. So instead of going back to the main table and creating that column, I'm going to do just what I did with adding that other question right here, the please provide more information, da, 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 da. And I can do that just by clicking on this blue plus right here. I'm going to choose multi-select because they may be interested in doing a ton of different things. I'm going to title this interests. I'm going to add a description guiding them through what I'm looking for. What are you most interested in doing while volunteering at the Bounyful Green Market? We have a lot of different things that we can do at the market and a lot of different things that we need help with. So I'm going to name as many of those things as I can think of right now. I'm also going to add another option of other and do something similarly to what we just did above by adding a long text and giving them the opportunity to tell me what do they want to help with. I'm going to title it something else with a question mark and give a little bit of guidance, of course. I'm going to choose logic on the something else. I'm going to say if interests is other. So we're going to show this question. If interests, we're going to show this question if other is selected in the interests dropdown. I'm going to go up and change the title again. Like I said, I'm going to go back and add a logo. I'm going to go back and add a description to give people a little bit more information about what we're looking for, what our timing is at the market, where it is located, so on and so forth, so that they can give us the best answers within this form. Up here, you'll see that we are currently in the edit portion of the form. Let's head over to design and see what that looks like. So now we can see what our form looks like simply outside of the builder. Looking pretty good, although I do see that timing and interests are not marked as required. I can see that because there's no little red star next to it. I'm going to go back to edit. I'm going to go in the question settings of each, and I'm going to update that really quick. I'm going to click on timing, question settings, required. I'm going to go down to interests. Question settings is already opened. I'm going to choose required there as well. Let's scroll down in the design, and now we can see that these two things are required. Fantastic. Now here's where we can actually customize the look and feel of the form. So we can change a background color, we can have different fonts, we can do different color themes. We could, let's choose pink for the background. How lovely. Because it's a farmer's market, how about green? Let's try that out. Nice. There are other options, as you can see here. You can provide a progress bar so they know how far they are in filling out the form. You can also remove the Monday.com branding by turning this off right here. Up top to the left, you have what the format looks like, and to the right, you can choose the alignment. Let's go into the settings. Here's where we have general settings, what's going to happen after they submit it, are there any tags, and how do we want it to interact with the actual board or the main table on the board. There are a lot of different options here for language. If you want to have anonymous form submissions, right here, I can choose a redirect URL. So I'm actually going to paste our Facebook so that they can be redirected to our Facebook and hopefully they'll like and follow us. Here under the board, I'm going to choose where are the submissions going to be plotted in the board. So as you can see, group for answers, select the group new answers will go to. It is already on new, which is at the top. So that is where I would like it to go. Also, we're going to be asking for their name. Include name, question, and form. Yes, that's going to be the first column. That is going to be the item name, aka the volunteer that we customized when we created this board initially. Now that I'm done with the settings, I'm going to click on Share Form and show you that there are multiple ways that we can share. So here is a link. We can click right here and copy the link. We can shorten our URL. I'm going to choose that. We can have a password protection. That is a new feature that Monday.com is trialing right now. And we have different options for requiring a login to Monday. We can actually deactivate the form as well. So right now I shortened the URL. I'm going to copy the link and let's see what it looks like. Let's test it and fill it out. So I'm going to run through this form just like I would hope a volunteer would. First, I'm going to put my name. Next, I'm going to put my email. Next, I'm going to put in my phone number. For organization, I'm just going to put NA. Are you 18 years of age? Let's see. If we say no, do you see how that popped up right there? So that is our logic working for us. If we choose yes, nothing pops up. So next, market dates, we can choose as many as we want, which is great. I chose 4 different ones just to see how it'll work. Timing, let's choose full-time and other. Here is the logic question that we put to pop up in case other was chosen, which is great. If other is not chosen, as you can see, it went away. Help with setup. Let's sell raffle tickets for interest. Let's also choose other. Great. Here is our logic working for us again because we chose other. Here's something else that pops up. I'm going to close that out and let's hit submit. Over on the main table, you can see that we have Kirsten EB right here. Nothing for notify, nothing for status. We have yes for 18 plus, minor. There's no need to fill that out because 18 and plus is a yes. We have the market dates that were chosen, the timing that was chosen, and it says that this came in September 2nd at 3:11 p.m. Cool. Additionally, we have a multi-select of their interests, right? So we can go right up here and we can change that to interests. Now, let's add some cool automation for when these forms come in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on automate within this main table and set those up right now. Within create, I'm going to click on create from scratch because that's how I like to make my automations. So when this happens, we're going to do this. When an item is created, and what that means is an item is created by the form being submitted, right? So what we want to do is we want to change the status to new, and we want to assign. We want to assign the board as notify. I think we're good with this. I'm going to click on create automation. Next, when the different statuses change, for example, status changes to they're in verification, we're looking through their application. I wanted to move into the verification group, so I can just create that automation. If I want to do this for the other statuses like inactive, active, I can just go to these 3 dots on this most recent automation that I created, and I can choose duplicate. So when status changes to active, let's move to active. And I can do the same thing for inactive. Those are all the automations that I'm going to create. Last but not least, I'm going to clean up the board and delete all of these placeholder items that were there. I'm going to go back to the form. I'm going to click on the copy form link right here. And now I'm going to share it everywhere. Now that was the step-by-step guide, and if it's your first time, it might take a little bit longer for you to get through it, but I can assure you that forms can be created in a snap. They're also very easy to embed on websites, share all over your social media, as well as send in emails. Not only is this a huge help for the nonprofit that I'm working with to find volunteers, you can utilize this for IT tickets, marketing content requests, innovative ideas at work, you name it. Try it out and see how you can streamline in your organization.
Have questions? Comment below. We actually respond. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our Path to Summit channel for more project management tips, tricks, and software tutorials.